Hello, YouTube. 1 second. I'm drinking this, I don't know if you can see, sparkling water from H-E-B, and it is so good. This certain flavor is a white grape, and it has 0 calories, 0 sodium, 0 everything. It's just carbonated flavored water, and I've been starting to drink this and cutting out my Sprites because I don't drink enough water, so it's just cutting out some sodium. My Sprite Zeros or my 0 calorie drinks, cutting out that sodium. And I have this now, and it really, really curbs my hunger. Anyway, the point of this video is I wanted to talk about sugars. Sugar has been a super hot topic in the last 2 or 3 days now. And the way people eat sugar or shouldn't eat sugar or whatever. And I have a couple of things that I want to talk about. I have a message from someone, and then I have my anatomy and physiology book. It's basic anatomy and physiology, and I really want to talk about this because I really think that people have a misunderstanding of sugars and of macronutrients in general. So let me pull out this this thing that my friend had sent me. 1 second. Okay, it was a message sent to my friend from her friend. And it states, this was literally like a day after I went through my whole rant about sugars on Snapchat when the unicorn frappuccino came out on I don't know what. The unicorn frappuccino came out and everybody was super hyped about it. And there was this picture going around where it had the nutrition facts on it circled. And it was like 80 grams of carbs. 76 of those grams were from sugars. And then on the bottom it said this was equal to 3 Snickers bars, which is not the case because that had like 9 grams of fat and Snickers bars had like 20 something grams of fat per bar. And I don't know the calories per se because I haven't had a Snickers in a while, but it really wasn't the same. Anyway, here is the message. This female was told by someone, I'm not too sure who. Insulin is a hormone which stops you from burning fat. So when you're working out, your body uses insulin as energy instead of fat. So stop eating sugar at all costs. Even fruit is the best thing to do. Not just sugar, but starchy foods such as bread, pasta, and rice. Even too much protein can be bad. So the best thing to do is eat green leaves and veggies with a little bit of protein. And then she asked my friend, what's your opinion? Oh my gosh. Okay, I was I read it a couple of times and I was extremely disappointed that people are providing this type of information. Insulin is a hormone which stops you from burning fat. So when you're working out, your body uses insulin as energy instead of fat. Okay, so the concept with sugar, and I'll read directly from my anatomy and physiology book, but essentially all carbohydrates, all carbs are turned into sugar, either glucose or glycogen. Glycogen is stored in like the muscles and stuff, and some glucose is stored in our blood as blood glucose, and that's when the insulin comes around to regulate our blood glucose levels depending on what type of foods we eat. And there are simple sugars and sugars that are easy to consume, such as in processed foods or in higher calorie foods. And then there are sugars that come from starchy foods that are slower in digesting, and they don't affect your blood glucose or insulin levels they don't affect your blood glucose levels as much because it's slower digesting, so your insulin levels don't really go up to regulate that blood glucose because it's coming in at a slower pace. So let me read directly from my anatomy and physiology book what this means. Okay, so I'm really excited because it's okay. Um, the effect of a dietary carbohydrate on one's blood glucose level can be expressed as the glycemic index, the GI. So your GI value of foods. Carbohydrates with a high GI above 70 are quickly digested and absorbed and rapidly raise blood glucose. And that's where insulin comes around to counteract that, to regulate it. Such carbohydrates are found in white bread, white rice, baked white potato, and many processed breakfast cereal. High GI carbohydrates stimulate a high insulin demand and raise the risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Um, so these people who have type 2 diabetes or are a higher risk of obesity, or people who are obese, tend to eat a lot of these carbohydrates that lack nutrients per se, that have a higher GI value to them, higher glycemic index to them. So their blood glucose levels are always going up, their insulin's always going up, because they need to constantly regulate that, and their body is just not healthy in that state. And these people tend to eat a lot of processed foods. These people tend to overconsume sugars, simple sugars. They eat chips, Cokes, all that good stuff. They're not regulating their caloric intake in any way. And that's why these problems arise. And then carbohydrates with a low GI, less than 55, are digested more slowly and raise blood glucose more gradually. These include the carbohydrates found in most fruits and vegetables, legumes, milk, and grainy bread and pasta. The glycemic index of a given food varies, however, from person to person and even from the time of days. Ideally, most carbohydrate intake should be in the form of complex carbs, primarily starch. This is partly because foods that provide starch also usually provide other nutrients. And this girl says, so stop eating sugar at all costs. Even fruit is the best thing to do. Not just sugar, but starchy fruits such as bread, pasta, and rice. So this person giving this girl information is completely backwards. She's telling her to stop eating fruits. Fruits have a lot of sugar in them, but they also have a lot of nutrients in them, such as fiber. So that's wrong. If anything, if you're in consuming sugar, you should be consuming fruits because they have more nutrients like fiber in them, as opposed to like candies or something, which are empty calories, empty sugar. And she says, not just sugar, but starchy foods such as bread, pasta, and rice. Starchy foods, as told in my anatomy and physiology book, are also usually nutrient dense, like your wheat pastas, your whole wheat, whatever. These are starchy foods. This is where you mainly want to get your carbohydrates from, because they have other nutrients in them. No matter what type of carbohydrate it is, it's going to be converted into glycogen or glucose. Those are two sugars, no matter what it is. There's another excerpt in my book before I go on to whatever that states, let me try to find it really quick. Sugar, disaccharide, right? Okay. Anyway, the small intestine and liver convert fructose and galactose to glucose. So ultimately, all carbohydrate digestion generates glucose. Let me read that again for you, right? So ultimately, all carbohydrate digestion generates glucose. And then glycogen would be like your energy stores as well. So there you have it. All carbs are generated into some type of sugar, just the type of sugar it is. Sugar that comes from fruits are more beneficial only because fruits have more nutrients in them, such as starchy carbohydrates like pasta and bread, they have more, they're more nutrient dense. Something like table sugar, simple sugar, corn syrup, was it high fructose corn syrup? And I can't think of whatever. Those sugars are quote unquote bad because again, they're easily consumed. Have they're basically empty calories. They contain the calories, but they don't contain any nutrients. So you can easily overeat and not feel full. You can easily overeat and want to eat again in another 2 hours, which in turn provides even more calories. That's why people think, I'm assuming people think sugar is bad when they hear about it. But in reality, everything is not everything. In reality, all carbs are sugar. It's just which type of sugar that you choose to eat. Again, if you are equating for calories for the day, it doesn't matter which type of sugar you eat, whether it's from fruit, your starchy carbs, your white breads with the higher GI tract. It's kind of all up to you and how your body responds to that. But if calories are equated, there's nothing wrong. Obviously, someone like me is going to want to eat fruits and vegetables and that very nutrient dense filling foods, very fiber dense, because I don't have a lot of calories to work with. My budget right now is very low. So I want to get the most, again, bang for my buck. But if you are intaking 400 calories, you're over, was it 2,500? Over 3,000 calories a day, you can afford to have empty sugar. And you can afford to have chips. And maybe even drink a Coke and get your carbs from there because obviously you don't have a hunger issue. That's what people need to understand about sugars. So this unicorn frap was 80 grams of carbs, 76 grams of sugar. And it was like, it was like 76 grams of simple sugar. So people who are drinking it are going to eat a full on freaking meal an hour later or during. I don't know if people drink fraps and eat at the same time. I don't know. But the point is they are very, very easily over consuming their calories for a given day. If I wasted 80 grams of carbs on a drink, I would literally die that day. Because that's more than 75% of my total caloric intake, basically. Just kidding. That's more than 50% of my day, though. So don't freak out about sugars. All carbs are going to turn into sugar at some point. Even fats. So I want to mention this really quick. People who go on ketogenic diets, which are not actually ketogenic diets because they still have like a good amount of carbs in them. If you have like more than 50 grams of carbs or around 50 grams of carbs, you're not on a ketogenic diet. You're just very, 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 very high fat. But your calories are equated. Anyway, people believe that being on a ketogenic diet would help them lose weight faster. But in the end, your body uses glucose as energy, some sort of carbohydrate fat ratio, except for some cells in our brains, I think it says in here, that rely purely on carbohydrates. But there is a system called, you can look it up, gluconeogenesis, that actually, in the absence of carbohydrates, your body will convert fat through the process of gluconeogenesis into glucose. So if you're cutting out your carbs or trying to go keto in hopes of losing weight, it's not going to happen because your body's going to find glucose somehow. So either way, your body's going to get energy somehow. Just remember, your body's got you. Your body is a very, very smart machine. And it can regulate a lot of things. And glucose and glycogen being one of them. So don't stress out about sugar. Just stress out about, or not even stress out, just be smart about your choices. If you have the money or caloric value to drink a freaking Coke or drink a 80-gram carb Starbucks frap, then go ahead and do that. But me and my poor caloric ass is going to drink sparkling water because it's really tasty and no carbs. sugar. I really, 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 really hoped that opened your eyes or opened y'all's eyes a little bit. If it helped, if you found it useful, if you found it interesting, educational, please let me know. It would really, really mean a lot to get a little bit of feedback, because this is the type of stuff I'm super excited about. Actually proving and really trying to explain and know how your body reacts to things, instead of just it making sense and somebody who's jacked telling you, oh, don't eat starchy foods. Because that's what I did and it worked for me. Bruh, there's a lot of people who look good out there, but don't know what they're talking about. And sometimes they're just taught that. Sometimes they don't do it to be harmful. So don't be upset, or it's not anyone's fault if they don't choose to ask questions or search for an answer from a reliable source. What I encourage you guys to do is always ask questions. Always ask questions. Again, if you liked this, please let me know. I love, love, love to have some feedback. Or anything that you guys might want to see or might want me to talk about would be really nice. Again, like this video, comment down below, subscribe, show me some love, and I'll talk to y'all later.